When I tell people how we lived in the 1,000 square foot cinder block home.
Yeah, hey, Libby wish you would stop telling that story too.
Does.
By the way,
Buck gets very upset when we tell the
yes.
story about the 1,000 square foot cinder block home with no indoor plumbing, a tin roof that you could actually lay on your back and you could see the sky from the bed.
That's
And
correct.
And I told the story in my Hall of Fame speech. But growing up in that environment, because when I also, Spank, you know, when I tell people I've never spent the night at a friend's house. I've never spent the night at a family member's house, and people can't believe that.
Correct. The first time I stayed away from home, I went to 4-H camp at Cherokee. I think it was. Yeah, I think. Then God, I was a senior.
No, it was a Rock Eagle.
Rock Eagle. Yeah, but I couldn't.
You were a member of the Cherokee tribe.
I couldn't remember what it was because it was so long ago. But yeah. The thing is when you grow up that way, and that's the only way you know, you don't have anything to compare it to. Because, we saw our friends every day at school and some at church, but you had nothing to compare it to. So guess what? It was our norm. And our norm was, you know what? God, I wish the roof didn't leak. You know, I wish we didn't have to get up, Monday through Sunday and, herd hogs or pick tobacco or grind feed or, I wish we didn't, but that's what we knew. And, you and I used to talk all the time about the only thing we wanted to do was play football. And we knew we were going to never get the chance to play football because we were always working. So when that's all there is no, I'm going to make it better because you're going to make it better. How? All you know is farming. So that was all we knew.
Did you think when we were working the hours, and I always use the term can't to can't, and people are like, well, what does can't to can't mean? Can you explain to people that's going to be watching this what can't to can't mean?
You see what you working from the time you can't see when you get up until you can't see at night. It's dark to dark, and the job is never done. It's just you got to go home and get some sleep. It's not like, it's a 9 to 5 or I finished my work, I'm going to get off early. We never got off early. There was no such thing as, you know what, we're finished picking this tobacco. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take the rest of the day off. No, that never happened. So, but like I said, Shannon, it's easy in hindsight to go back and say how tough we had it. And it's easy in hindsight to try and make our upbringing so much different from everyone else by going, living in a house that didn't have running water, rain, looking at the sun. We could lay in bed and watch the sunrise, that kind of stuff. You know what it did? It didn't make us stronger. It just made us. We were like, if it was to be, we were going to have to do it. And we were always like that from our playing days hey, we were great teammates, I'd like to think. But if there's an opportunity to make a play, coach, put it on me because I can accept the success, but I can also accept the failure if it doesn't go our way. And I think that's strictly because of how we were brought up. And I say this to people, and I used to say it to young people when I spoke more all the time. It ain't by accident that 2 guys from Glennville, Georgia, not only graduated from college, but made it to the NFL. That ain't by accident, but it's not by design either. I mean, I just think that, and I tell people, you learn a lot about guys. If you tell me how they were raised and tell me what their experiences are, I can tell you who they are. And how we were raised, we had similar experiences from the time we left Glennville until the time you got into television. Our lives were pretty much mirror images of each other, even though we're 3 years apart in age, but we're 2 years apart in athletics.
So give the people a little backdrop of kind of some of the jobs you and I had.
Well, we had a family. Remember, it was our grandmother, grandfather, me, you, and our sister, not to mention our Aunt Jane, our Aunt Shermadine, our Aunt Gladys, and sometimes our Aunt Marynell living in that 1,000-foot cinder block house too. Correct. So it wasn't like there was a lot of room, but our jobs. Also Dietrich, our nephew was there. So guess what? It wasn't like we had chores and we could finish our chores. We definitely had to go to school and church. Those 2 things were a must.
Correct.
We were at school, we were at church. But then there was the tobacco picking and the, planting my grandmother's garden. There's also the moving and the situating of the hogs that we had, grinding of the feed. So when hogs got out, it wasn't like, you know, hey, we lost a hog. Oh, well, we got to go search for it. So we were going through hell and high water in situations where I am, to this day, I am still amazed that none of us ever got bit by a snake and none of us ever died because of snake bite. Because I can remember our times wrapping our hands around tobacco stalks and there'll be an 8-foot rattlesnake sitting under a leaf, or we were walking through swamps in the dead of summer and never got bit by a moccasin. I'm amazed. But we had, and not to mention, and I'll talk just about you and I, when we were in when I was in high school, you would have been in middle school, we would get up and go to school, go to practice, go home. And as soon as we got home from practice, we had to get in Earl Bacon or our Uncle James's truck to go catch chickens, where we were making $1 a thousand. And we would, you know, it's hard to catch chicken
go back to that. Because how much were we making? If you caught 1,000 chickens, how much money did you make?
We were making $1 a thousand. So for every 1,000 chickens that were in that house, each individual got paid $1. So imagine working from 11 to 2, catching 14,000 chickens. You made $14. Or
Right.
you 10,000 chickens, you made $10.
Right.
And so you get home at 3 and you had to clean yourself up, try to get as much sleep as you can, because 7 o'clock and on the way to school was happening the next day. So and like I said, as tough as it seems or sounds now, wasn't that bad back then, because guess what? We got to be with our friends or our cousins.
Right.
We were making money. So it was a good deal for us.
Well, the school was the easy part. It was the summer when you had to work in tobacco. And then you come home. Remember, we would come home. Not only did we play during the lunch break, we would eat, play basketball. Granny's like, boy, come in here. Y'all gonna have a heat stroke. And I'm like, hold on. You saying it's too hot to play basketball, but it's not too hot to work in the field.
And so we were in a long sleeve shirt. We were in a long sleeve shirt and blue jeans in the field. It wasn't like we were dressing cool.
Right.
We got a long sleeve shirt and blue jeans on, dressing in that tobacco field. So yeah, those were some definitely different times for us growing up. But I definitely believe it definitely helped shape how we were from the time we left Glennville until the time we got to television.
I'm about to tell a story about how, like, we were working tobacco field and then we would play, and then we had to get ready to get on that chicken truck that night. So we were working, and I remember because you at the time I was making $5 a day. You remember when I told Granny I was making $5 a day? Libby told Granny that. Hold on, let me tell you. Libby told Granny that Lanny is our first cousin. That Lanny and Shannon did was play. What did Granny tell me?
If he making $5 a day, it's too much. It's too much. She said it was too much money, and I agree, because all you and Lanny were buying were Diet Cokes and honey buns anyway.
Okay. Okay, let's tell the story. Mr. Joe, who was our boss at the time, Joe Tatum, he just passed recently. He set us up a line of credit at the convenience store. Yeah. And so we could go in there and get anything we want on credit, knowing that Mr. Joe was going to bring us in there. We were going to cash our check and we can pay. So when Mr. Joe said he was going to the store, what would I always get? I was probably 6 or 7 years old.
300 buns, 300 buns and 3 Cokes, 3 sodas. I'm like, he couldn't get one at one. Mr. Joe, bring me 300 buns and 3 Coca-Colas. Every time he had to go, it was 3 and 3.
It was 3 and 3.
It was 3 and 3.
But do you remember also, Mr. Joe, he had a farm and he had cattle, and cattle eat hay. Somebody had to bale that hay. Mr. Joe had a big farm. He had peanuts. He had watermelons. We had the broader secondaire. He had okra. He had tomatoes. We had to pick up pecans for the dashers.
That's correct. We had a lot of jobs, and the thing is we would have done even more just to put money in our pockets to lessen the load on Granny. At the time, she was the only breadwinner for the most part in the house, her and Libby. Right. And so we would have done anything to buy our own clothes, buy our own shoes, buy our own basketball, basketball shoes, football shoes, track shoes. We would have done just about any and everything.
You know what to do. hit the subscribe button to become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something.